On Christmas night in 1945, an incident happened in West Virginia, America, which even today sends shivers down the spine. A man named George Sodder was celebrating Christmas with his wife Jenny Sodder and 10 lovely children. Every face was lit up with joy. But who knew that this night was going to turn into a bad dream, a nightmare that has remained an unsolved mystery till date? It happened like this: it was around 1 o'clock in the night when suddenly a fire broke out in the house. George and Janie runs out with her 4 children, but the 5 children sleeping in the room upstairs disappear forever. Neither their bones were ever found nor any other trace. Did they really burn in the fire, or were they kidnapped? Was this fire really an accident, or was it set with special planning? This is not just a story but a secret that is still surprising the world. Let's know about this. Let us try to understand each and every aspect of the unsolved mystery. George Sodder was a hard-working Italian immigrant who was strongly against the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, which is why he was forced to leave Italy and live in America. He openly opposed the Italian dictator. Speaking could have become a problem for him, but he never showed any fear. In America, he was in the trucking business, and luckily he also had his own house. His wife Jenny Sodder was a dedicated housewife who raised her children with love and discipline. 24th on Christmas Day, December 1945, the Sodder children are playing with their new toys. Night falls, and the 5 children in the upstairs room go to sleep in their beds. At about 1 a.m. Janie smells smoke in the house. She hears a loud noise. When she goes to see, she finds out that the kitchen has caught fire due to some reason. George and Janie come out with their 4 children, but the 5 children sleeping in the upstairs room are left inside. George tries every possible way to save them. When George Sodder ran to the second-floor window, he noticed that his ladder was missing from its place. He then thought of using his coal truck to reach the window, but when he turned on the ignition, the truck wouldn't start. And the other truck was also not working. People who were present there tried to call the Fatevale Fire Department, but unfortunately there was no response. Later, when somehow the fire chief was contacted, even then the fire brigade was away from the accident site for hours. After the incident, everyone thought that due to some reason a fire broke out in the house in which 5 children were burned to death, but as normal as this case seemed to be, it was equally complicated. When the investigation began the next morning, officials also closed the case by giving a similar statement. They said that the children were burnt to death due to the fire, but this was beyond everyone's understanding because the bones of the human body do not turn into ashes even at a temperature of 800 degrees Celsius. Can form, especially in the parts of bones that contain calcium. This includes human teeth as well. They do not turn into ashes even inside the furnace. Then how did it happen that in the fire at Sodder's house, not just 1, not 2, but 5 children's bones were not found, nor any teeth were found? Later in the forensic investigation, it was also confirmed that the duration of the fire was not so much that it could turn the bones into ashes. This was quite a proof that the investigation report was rejected by the soldiers' family as soon as they got up. The investigation team did not give any proof of the fire. The reason given was a short circuit in the kitchen, but George Sodder said that he had recently got all the wiring done afresh and there was no question of any defect in it. When George Sodder tried to recall the moment of the accident, so he also remembered some things which were pointing towards something wrong. At the time of the fire, when he picked up the phone to call the fire brigade, the wire was cut, and this was also proved in the investigation that there was indeed a fire in Sodder's house. The phone line was cut by someone from outside because the phone line was broken, and when cut, its edges are not smooth, but when cut with pliers, the edges look quite smooth. Later, Jenny Sodder remembered that at exactly 12:30 in the morning the phone at home rang and there was a woman on the other end who was screaming loudly. She was laughing, at which Janie disconnected the call, saying it was a wrong number. If the phone line was disconnected at 1 o'clock and just half an hour before that a strange call had come on it, then it means that the phone line was disconnected half an hour before the fire. This night was full of strange events. A few minutes before the first phone call and the fire, Janie heard the sound of something falling on the roof. When she did not hear anything further, Janie turned over and went to sleep, and a few minutes later he smelled the smoke. Besides, the ladder which George used to keep was missing from there at the time of the accident and was recovered from a field far away from the house. Both of George's trucks, which were working perfectly till a day before, were working perfectly at the time of the fire. How all this happened, and this gave rise to George Sodder's suspicion. This turned into a belief that their children were not dead but had been kidnapped. But how did someone escape with them amidst so much noise? When the investigation revealed the story that a few months before this incident, an insurance agent had come to George Sodder who had given him information about the house. He was putting a lot of pressure on taking insurance, but when Sodder refused to take insurance, the agent threatened Sodder and said that you will realize this only when your house catches fire. Has anyone ever seen fire as a threat to the people? The second theory is that the Italian mafia did not like George Sodder's open statements against the Italian dictator Mussolini, so the Italian mafia made him their target and kidnapped his children. Some people claim to have seen the Sodder children in various locations after the fire. One woman said she saw the children in a hotel with a strange couple. Other reports said they were taken away in a car. He was seen taking it away, as many people say. This is confirmed. It was found that the soldiers' children did not die because of the fire. Then where did they go? After 1 year of the accident, some new evidence has come to light. The investigation team, which had earlier said that the cause of the fire was a short circuit, has been proved wrong. Investigation revealed that the fire was set intentionally. A bus driver was passing by at that time who told that he saw some people throwing something like a fireball. A few months later, when the snow melted, rubber was found near the house. A round object shaped like a pineapple bomb was also found. Jenny remembered hearing a sound a few minutes before the fire, which was due to something falling on the roof. It was probably this pineapple bomb. George and Jenny devoted her life to find the answer to this mystery. She left no stone unturned and followed every possible lead. She got a big billboard made which had the pictures of the missing children and also promised a reward. After about 20 years, in 1960, Jenny receives a letter. In this letter there was a picture of a man which was very similar to their son Louis, and only this was written in the letter: Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Was this letter really written by one of the 5 missing children, or was it a prank by George and Jenny? A private detective was hired to investigate the letter, but no trace of Louis Sodder was found. Years passed one by one, but the mystery could not be solved. George Sodder died in 1969. Jeannie and her surviving children could not find their missing family. The siblings kept trying to find answers about their whereabouts. Jeannie did not leave the family home after George's death. She put up fencing around the house and had new rooms built for the rest of her life. She always wore black because of grief. 1989, after Jenny's death, the family finally took down the old and worn-out billboard that had been put up for missing children. Whether these children were victims of a tragedy or became part of a larger conspiracy is a mystery that may never be solved.